grassroots organization that is 1 million strong from every state in the nation. And we're here today with some very small cows with a very big important point, and that's that it's time for Congress to get moving on passing gun safety reforms like the Manchin-Toomey background check bill. And we won't be cowed by the gun lobby, right? Right? So we're here today to bring our voices directly to the U.S. Senate. Why are we here? We're here for a serious reason. Just this past April, the Senate had the opportunity to pass meaningful gun safety legislation, the Manchin-Toomey bill. Thank you. This bill would have instituted stronger background check legislation for all gun purchases, but it failed by just 5 votes. There is going to be an opportunity for the Senate to vote again soon, and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to have a second chance and vote yes on the background check bill for gun purchases. And we're not afraid to move about it, to get Congress moving forward on gun safety legislation. Guns are the second leading cause of death for children aged 1 to 19. That's why we're here today. There are more than 30 murders per gun each day in our nation by guns. Something has to be done. Something has to be done to stop the epidemic of gun violence. Today we are delivering messages from tens of thousands of Moms Rising members from every state in the nation. We're delivering very cute keychains reminding Congress that Moms Rising says, don't be cowed by the gun lobby. Get moving on background check legislation. And we're here today to bring the stories, the experiences from people in every state of the nation forward inside the Beltway directly to our elected leaders to tell them why it matters that 90% of the American public support background check legislation and why it matters that they need to take a second chance and pass it now. And Moms Rising, we're fully committed, some would say we're utterly committed to moving forward on gun safety legislation. And we are here today to say, finally, it's past time to get moving. Without further ado, I give you a champion in the U.S. Senate, Senator Manchin, to share some words. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of you all. Thank you, most important to you all, for being involved in bringing this precious citizen group of ours together. All our little cows, right? And let me just say what we did. The piece of legislation we put together was the most common sense approach. Basically, all we're saying is we want to keep guns out of the wrong people's hands. And if you can't do it with a background check, how can you do it? And if you can't do it in a background check in a commercial transaction, such as at a gun show or online, then how would you do it? So what we basically took the approach is law-abiding gun owners aren't going to do the wrong thing with the gun. There's nothing wrong with owning a gun for hunting or protection, whatever you want to use it. The law-abiding people won't use it wrongly. With that being said, to the law-abiding gun owner, I'm not going to sell my gun to a stranger. I'm not going to give my gun to somebody in my family who's irresponsible. I'm not going to sell my gun to somebody that's mentally unstable. If I go to a commercial establishment, I don't know that. And this was a common sense approach. And getting people scared to vote what they know is right. And this is something that organizations such as NRA supported wholeheartedly in 1999. And why the change is beyond me. So I just appreciate, Kristen, you all continue to keep this in the forefront. Continue to bring the most precious assets with you when you come. I have 8 grandchildren. My youngest is 6 months, and my oldest is 20 years. So I have them all across the board. They're pretty special, each and every one of them. But we can make our community safer. We can make our schools safer. A part of the bill that people have missed is the Commission on Mass Violence. How has our society gotten so much more violent? How have they gotten so much more tolerant of violence? I go to schools and I ask children, small children, about watching video games. And the video violence is unbelievable today. So we're going to look at everything. School safety. You know, I was governor and we built a lot of schools, remodeled a lot of schools. Not one architect ever told me, Governor, we've got to put bulletproof glass on all first floor windows. You know, and we know what happened in Newtown. That's how the school was locked down. It just didn't have the shatter the bulletproof glass. So there's so many things that we can do. But we got to take a responsible, reasonable approach. we can't let Washington and the money in Washington and the special interest in Washington make legislators afraid to do the job that they were elected to do. That's where you all come in and able to give them the courage to do it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up, we also have some stories from Moms Rising members. We have Charlotte Brock, who's going to come forward and share her story. And we are sharing the story not only of Charlotte, but others in the book, saying to Congress, saying to the U.S. Senate, do not be cowed by the gun lobby. Let's get moving on background checks. 90% of the American public support. The majority of NRA members also support. So welcome, Charlotte.
Thank you. My name is Charlotte Brock. I'm a Moms Rising member, and I'm a mom. And I'm also a Marine Corps veteran. I served 7 years in the Marine Corps. In the Marine Corps, before a recruit is ever issued a weapon, he or she passes background checks, is evaluated psychologically, and passes mental aptitude tests. When the recruit goes to basic training, he's issued a rifle. Before any round of live ammunition is issued, the recruit learns the ins and outs of his weapon, learns how to clean it, how to maintain it, how to take it apart, put it back together, and most importantly, the recruit learns the safety rules and regulations, how to hold it safely and how to store it safely. Even in combat situations, there are many rules and regulations regarding gun safety. There are weapons conditions, there are barrels in which the guns are cleared before entering any building. Despite all these measures, there are still accidents, accidental discharges in the military. They're rare, but they can be fatal. If those who are around weapons the most often and who use them the most know that it takes weeks of intensive training and many regulations to have a safe environment where weapons are involved, why is it that we out here where our children live have so few laws and regulations regarding gun ownership and purchasing weapons? This is not about taking away the Second Amendment rights of gun owners. We typically and routinely register our vehicles at the DMV. We pass background checks to apply for colleges and to apply for jobs. There should be no reason why we can't have background checks for purchase of weapons. This is not about fear or hatred of guns. I personally enjoy shooting on the range. I'm a pretty good shot. And during 2 deployments to Iraq, I had a weapon on me at all times. I'm comfortable around guns. But I'm also a mom, and in the wake of the shootings, I, like many parents, worry about my son's safety and the safety of all the children. I've been to war and I've seen what bullets can do to a body. That shouldn't happen in our schools. So to suggest that adding more guns to the equation by arming teachers is simply absurd. I know how much training it takes to get people to use weapons safely. That's not what we need in our schools. Passing federal background checks would be one step in changing the culture from one of carte blanche entitlement to one of responsible, safe, and informed gun ownership. Gun collectors and those who hate guns or fear them need to come together and pass this measure, which is a common sense no-brainer. There are no disadvantages, and the majority of Americans support this measure. We will not be cowed by the NRA when it comes to our lives and our children's lives. Thank you.
Next up, we have a very special speaker. We have Amelie, who is 6 years old, to share why she's here. And now we have Moms Rising's Senior Campaign Director on Gun Policy Safety Reform, Gloria Pan.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so first of all, I'm Gloria Pan. I am Senior Campaign Director for Gun Safety for Moms Rising. And I want to start by thanking Senator Manchin for speaking, and also thanking Charlotte and Amelie for so eloquently telling us why we need legislation such as background checks so that people can be responsibly living by their own. Okay? As you've already heard, moms and kids in this country, along with dads and grandparents and uncles and aunts, we are tired of waiting for Congress to pass the common sense gun safety laws because the gun lobby frankly puts too much political sway. Okay? We are here to deliver that message, and we're also here to deliver these cows and the keychains, which I don't have on me. These keychains. And we're here to say to Congress, please don't be cowed by the gun lobby. It's time to get moving on gun safety. And it is time for us to say that now. And in addition, so what we're talking about here is saving lives. We're talking about saving lives, we're talking about safer communities, and we're talking about doing something to help make sure that our children grow up to adulthood. We are not talking about infringing on anybody's Second Amendment rights. We are just looking for common sense, practical solutions to reduce the gun violence that's devastating our families and our communities across the nation. In addition to visiting senators that we hope will change their votes from nay to yay on background checks, we will also be visiting senators who have been our champions for gun safety. We will be going to the senators' offices and basically saying thank you. Thank you for putting the safety of families and communities before the gun lobby. Okay, so that's it. Are we ready to go? Okay, when I count to three, let's do a real move, okay? 1, 2, 3. Move! Thank you everyone for joining us today so that we can get moving on gun safety and legislation such as background checks on gun sales. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those folks who are here who are breaking up into groups to go deliver your messages, can we have the group leaders raise your hands and then go find your group leader and then go deliver the messages with the packages of goodies. Thank you.
Does anybody want any Yeah. Hey guys, wait before they
Yep. We're live on YouTube right now.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know. And we already heard your story, but what brought you here to Malcolm other than that? Looks like her, probably.
The what?
Is it like, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, Sandy Hook really, I think it was a shock for many people. It was a big wake-up call for me too, and I feel pretty helpless. I mean, no matter what, you're still going to send your children to school, and there's very little you can do to protect them in that way. But passing background check legislation may not have prevented Sandy Hook, but it could prevent the next violent gun act. These acts are unpredictable. You don't know who's going to do them or why or where, but restricting, or at least making sure that the legal gun purchases only go to lawful citizens is one easy way to at least ensure that criminals aren't purchasing new weapons. If it prevents even one death, then it's worth it. Because if that one death is your child's, it's not an abstract figure, it's a real life. So I think this is one step in changing the culture and in ensuring that fewer gun deaths happen.
And Urban Moms Rising, do you feel like, the whole country's actually behind you on this?
Yes, I mean, I think statistics show that most Americans do think that criminals shouldn't be allowed to buy guns. I mean, that's just kind of, it's very obvious. we don't allow drunk drivers with a record of drunk drivers to drive vehicles. So why would we allow criminals to buy guns?
And anything else you want to add?
Call your senator today and help us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Right here, don't be held by the gun lobby. Let's get
That's the interview.
You done? Okay. The last bit? You all done? Okay. The rest? Alright, I think we're ready to go, guys.
Hey, what's up, man? Good.
Can I bring Neil with me? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Gloria, so why are you here?
I am here leading members of Moms Rising to come and speak up for gun safety.
And why is that important?
Why is that important? Because, we heard just last week about that little boy in Virginia who went to see the fireworks with his dad, and he falls to the ground and he's dead within a few hours because a stray bullet hit him in the brain. And the idea that our children are so at risk in our culture where there is not responsible ownership of guns is unacceptable. We have to, our responsibility as parents is to make sure that our children are safe and secure, and to hopefully secure an environment where they can grow up and their children can also be safe and secure. So we have to do something about the irresponsible proliferation of guns now.
You've worked on this for a while now, so what's it like going up against the NRA and all the big cartel gun busters?
Well, we tried to go and speak to the NRA about this, and they didn't want to talk to us.
What did they do though? Didn't they do something kind of weird?
They did. Well, we issued an invitation, and we basically said we were going to show up and we would like to share with you our stories and petition signatures from our members, basically asking everybody to slow down and think about common sense solutions to reduce gun violence. We sent an invitation to the president of the MRA. We never heard from them. They didn't tell us not to come, so we showed up and we tried to deliver it, and even though their building is a public building and there is a museum in their headquarters in Virginia, they would not let us in. A security guard actually came and threatened to throw us out, and he actually threatened to put the police against us. And that was a little bit disturbing because I don't understand why they didn't want to talk to moms and kids.
And so do you think that the NRA represents, any even small majority of Americans?
I don't think so. I think that a certain proportion of the NRA is very passionate about guns. And, America has a long history with firearms, and that is very understandable. But I think that the vast majority of the NRA, when they are actually paying attention, when they're not too busy with their lives, I think that they all agree that we should have reasonable limits on gun ownership and gun usage, because not everybody is as responsible as they say they should be, and there should be reasonable limits.
Cool. Anything you want to add?
No. We're very happy to be here.
Cool.
Okay.
So if we could, thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Kristen?
Hello, welcome to the Heart Building. Thank you so much for tuning in with us as we held a mini impromptu cow conference. We had Senator Manchin come down and speak a few words about how he's going to keep pushing for common sense gun safety reform, keep pushing through the background check bill, the Manchin-Toomey bill. We're excited about that, and right now we're getting ready to move out. If you look around, we're going to break up into small groups, and we're going to move out, and we're going to deliver small keychains to members of Congress that say don't be cowed by the gun lobby. Let's get moving on gun safety reform. We have small children, as you'll see, and as you've already seen, dressed as cows that are going to be accompanying us as we deliver them, along with a book of member stories and member signatures from Moms Rising members across the country that are telling the members of Congress that they need to listen to their constituents at home, they need to get their heads outside of the Beltway, they need to stop listening to the gun lobby, they need to understand that more than 90% of the American public support these policies, and they need to take a second vote on background checks for gun purchases. So we're really excited about delivering all of those messages along with the beautiful cows. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find out more information all the time at www.momsrising.org and at weactradio.com.
Thanks, Kristen.
Is that okay?
Cool. Yeah, so it's paying.
Which group do you want me on with?